Hello and welcome to Grumpy Gamers. You're here with me, Pete, and along with me this week I have Ben.
Hello.
Eddie.
Hello.
And Kirk.
Hello.
Welcome back, Kirk. You've finally been
Thanks.
released from prison.
Nice. I don't think there's any need for that.
Very good.
But, yeah. A prison of frames, maybe? Is that what it is?
I was going to say you'd been framed,
good.
but you've taken
that would have been so
away.
much better, Kirk.
Yeah.
You missed that. You missed that.
If you'd just done your usual thing and got really defensive or tried to make an excuse, it would have teed me up perfectly. But no, you did that. And
Times change when you're not here for a month.
Toxic Kirk will come, don't you worry.
That is true, yeah. Give it 5 or 7 minutes. Right, before we get to that, we'll probably have started on the news. We will definitely go into the new releases after it. And what we've been playing this week is entirely Planet of Lana.
Yeah, we did say it last week, didn't we?
Did,
So we
and
actually...
all 4 of us have actually followed through. That's...
It's a rarity.
Is that what you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very surprised by it as well.
I think it's more the term is not a great term to use, especially
Followed through.
Especially since Eddie's hungover.
Now you've called it out, of course it's no longer good, but generally it's a pretty common phrase. Still, that's life. And our feature this week is the PlayStation Showcase.
You said that with such enthusiasm.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any need to.
We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that.
We will get to that,
For now, let's at least keep it as mixed messages. So, shall we start with the quick news, Ben?
Let's do it. Firstly, the Gollum game developers, they came out this week and delivered an apology after the game's release. It didn't say an awful lot, but they felt like they had to say something, didn't they? It got very poor reviews and reception. It's
terrible.
Unfortunate. Expectations were very low, as we talked about last week in the new releases, but it probably didn't even live up to those, unfortunately. So, they came out and said that.
It must be pretty rough creating a game that comes out that badly, but also you get people genuinely going, who even asked for this?
Yeah. I think it is just it's a shame, and it's... game development is probably quite a hard thing. And,
do you know what must be harder? Is like spending all that time in it, and then you're looking at the end product, and you must go home and go oh my god, I'm devastated. I've spent a year of my life in this, and this is going to come out tomorrow, and people are going to slam it, and then people absolutely slammed it.
It's one of those things, like at work, do you ever do something where it's like you focus on something and go, it will come together by the end, like it will pull together. I will, this all merge it, and then you go actually, this is shit.
Yeah.
What
there's no way to polish it either.
Is shit, and I hoped.
Here's a counter one. Maybe the developers get told you're making this by the publishers, and they all go, well, that's a stupid idea, but we're going to get paid to do it. Maybe that's how they look at it.
Yes, there will be.
I'm sure there are developers.
Style. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like any job, I'm sure there are people that do that, yeah. And just get well, this is bullshit, but sure,
bullshit.
I'll
I'll
make that
do
character
it,
model.
just get the paycheck. Oh, people saying it's shit. Looks like an Xbox 360 game. Yeah, fine, whatever.
Who knows? Poor reception, though, so let's move on. Then the next one, quite big news story this week actually for Embracer Group. Their share value, it dropped by over 40%. I think it was 44%. After announcing that a major strategic partnership that they've been working on for the last 7 months had collapsed. It would have brought in $2 billion worth of development revenue over 6 years. So whether that was outsourcing their talent to certain studios or maybe working on some IP for somebody, but that fell apart, and I think the deal was all in place. And
it was a heavy interview, wasn't it? That was sort of off the cuff. That wasn't a scripted response. That guy was tired.
Yeah, so you're referring to the CEO because they were having. So basically, they were delivering their financial results. I think they had an investor meeting on a video Zoom type call, and hours before that, they had tried to push to get this deal signed and asked if they could sign it so they could announce it at this meeting. And it had fallen apart maybe 4 or 5 hours before that meeting. So you're right, Pete. I think the guy was pretty despondent and didn't want to be there, which is, understood. But a 40% drop in share price seems a bit... I don't think... these are the types of things, strategic partnerships, like investments and stuff, they're not known to the outside when they're going on, and then for 40% of your share price to drop immediately after, it seems massive overkill.
Yes.
When nothing's changed from day to day. If you just weren't told about this, nothing had changed.
Yeah, that's it.
But I don't know. Anyway, that's happened. We'll see what Embracer Group do from here, because remember, Embracer Group are one of the biggest networks of gaming developers and publishers and everything. They own fucking everything, don't they? So
everything that you love, they own.
They've got a hand in pies all over the place.
So many pies.
Next up, PSVR 2 headset sales. They were released this week. They were actually surpassed the original PSVR in its first 6 weeks. So that's around 600,000 units, 8% over the PSVR 1 at this time. People are saying that this means that it's not actually doing that badly. You know, every week if we get a VR game in the new releases, we're like, oh, well, at least they've got some games. And it didn't sound like a lot of people were buying the PSVR 2. The marketing wasn't huge. It wasn't available at retailers. It was only available through Sony at the time. And there were far fewer PS5s than PS4s. And that's why people were saying, well, it's obviously not doing that badly. Which could be a fair response. I would kind of point out that the PSVR would be bought by the hardcore platform owners. So they're the people who will already have a PS5/PS4 at the start of a life cycle. So the fact that there are more PS4s than PS5s, I don't really think makes a difference. I think gaming's also grown by that 8% or more. So VR hasn't really kept pace. So despite a lot of people saying, well, actually, it's not doing that bad, another interpretation of those numbers could be that VR is not doing well. It's not kept up in real terms, and it could be spun either way. And I doubt Sony are happy. But
on a side note to this, I'm going to get a chance to play it in the next couple of weeks. I've got a friend who's got one.
Your friend.
So nice. I want to give that a good going over. Is that the right thing?
Yeah,
to say?
well,
give that.
I know it was a weird.
Give that a good going over.
Sure, yeah.
The reviews for the PSVR headset are fantastic. It's all software, isn't it? That's the only issue with PSVR in a lot of people's minds are software, and they really needed a showcase to show them what was coming up. And
funny there was something like that, eh?
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. We'll
get to that. Yeah.
And lastly, over the last few days, there have been multiple rumours, probably stemming from the showcase and then people having to clutch at something, that Sony will be buying more studios. For example, CD Projekt. They've been heavily linked to buying CD Projekt over the last few days. And it seems to be nonsense. It sounds like nonsense. And it probably is nonsense. And a senior employee, I think it was a PR rep at CD Projekt, has come out and said, it is bollocks. There's nothing true. I like PR rep. They would have been told to say that. Like they wouldn't have just gone off their own bat. You do get just random people in different organizations saying like these things aren't happening. A senior employee is very doubtful that they would know anything about what's going on in the background. But in this one particular case, it's PR rep, they would have been told to say that. So, and with insider trading and stuff, everybody fucking be petrified of saying something wrong. This isn't going to happen.
Yeah. CD Projekt Red must be huge price tag, right?
Well, they're on the stock exchange, the Polish stock exchange and stuff. So, it's all documented what you'd have to put in an offer above and beyond so that the smaller shareholders would be forced to sell. And regardless, it doesn't matter. It's not happening.
Good. Yes. Not quite news. Yeah.
Not quite news. Move us to the main news.
Well, I'm going to move you, but it's A, you're going to regret it, and B, it's just another man does job. So
excellent, love it.
We've got some more Microsoft CMA stuff. Woo! Eddie's fallen on the blade again. Microsoft have appealed the CMA's decision to block the acquisition of Activision.
Surprise.
Exactly, yeah. We all saw this coming. They've basically appealed under 5 key grounds, stating that it's claimed the CMA made fundamental errors in its assessment of Microsoft's current position in cloud gaming services by failing to take into account constraints from native gaming, where players play on their Xbox or PC with digital or discs. It also claims the CMA erred in failing to take proper account of 3 long-term commercial agreements Microsoft entered into with cloud game providers, calls the CMA's conclusion that Activision would have its games available on cloud gaming services without the merger both irrational and arrived at in a procedurally unfair manner, and argues the CMA's findings that Microsoft would have the ability and incentive to foreclose rival cloud gaming services by withholding access to Activision's gaming content after the acquisition unlawful. Finally, Microsoft insists the CMA erred in law by proceeding on the basis that it had a duty to impose what it described as a comprehensive remedy, unlawfully failed to take account of the interests of
Committee.
I know. I'm hungover, boys. Just bear with me. In rejecting the Microsoft Cloud remedy and acted in breach of Microsoft's common law duty of fairness and the CMA's own remedies guidance. So the UK's Competition Appeal Tribunal, who deal with the appeal, says it aims to deal with straightforward cases within 9 months. And so that could be a year. And then if the appeal is successful for whatever reason, then it would need to go through another review from the CMA. So if you think this is our last CMA Activision Blizzard story, then you are mistaken.
Can we...
I know it's man does job, but they had to appeal basically on the procedurally, like that there's been a procedural failure.
Yes.
It would appear from the stuff I've read as well that all they've done is just put that wording in. They haven't actually said it.
Yeah.
Like, everything they've said, nothing they've said is procedurally inaccurate or failed. It's just like, but it's irrational and it has been arrived at in a procedurally unfair manner.
There you go.
Where? I don't know.
I
interrupted.
Got to play by the rules of the game. That's the key thing, and they are doing
So do you think it's going to be rejected?
I don't know. We don't know, do we? It's just it sounds like clutching, but who knows?
Yes, even if it's going to be rejected, they will take 6 months over it, and we will get weekly updates on that.
Oh.
The only issue is what distraction does this take from Microsoft actually? If Sony are making moves elsewhere, not on CD Projekt, but if Sony are making moves elsewhere, then is this just more of a distraction for Microsoft? And it's just
see
like
point. They just change their tactics to something more.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only thing. But they're the guys in business. They're the guys that I assume they have plans and backup plans and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're going to buy CD Projekt.
Yeah, there you go.
I heard that. Yeah.
Very good, Kirk.
Dear God. Right.
PR told you, did he, Kirk?
Yeah, he did actually. Yeah, heard it. Yeah, through the grapevine. Anyway, I'll move us on. So, The Last of Us multiplayer needs more time, according to Naughty Dog. Have you heard about this? Well,
we didn't see it at the showcase. That's a spoiler.
No, you didn't see anything at the showcase because there was nothing about Naughty Dog at that showcase, including this Last of Us multiplayer game. Spoilers. Sorry. Anyway, Naughty Dog addressed this by sharing a statement on Twitter shortly afterwards, which they confirmed the game needs more time, and they also addressed that the team are working on a brand new single-player experience, which they look forward to sharing soon. However, as reported by Eurogamer, on the 27th of May, Jason Schreier, I never say his fucking surname right, Schreier, isn't it?
Yes,
Schreier. Of Bloomberg has shed some more light on this matter, where apparently there's some behind-the-scenes decision-making that's impacting the game. He said development has slowed down, and after Bungie assessed the various games as a service offerings by Sony and had concerns that The Last of Us multiplayer might struggle to engage players for a long period of time. Many who were working on the project as well have now been moved to other projects, leaving a small group working on the multiplayer currently. So, basically, no Naughty Dog at the showcase. That was 2 years in the making, with a very big lack of first-party titles.
Spoilers, Kirk. We'll talk about that later.
It's fine. You got to say these things out in the news. Got to get out there now. Yeah, you do. You spoil the podcast every week at the beginning of the podcast. Everybody knows what's coming. Anyway, so Bungie analysing the games as a service makes total sense given their track record with Destiny, but it remains to be seen what has actually been said that they consider the roadblocks, and it kind of makes you wonder where the project is now, where it's going to be in reality going forward. So, what do you think?
What is this project fucked out? Like, if you're Naughty Dog, I mean, this isn't how it's happened, but you can imagine like Bungie walks in, just gets like, nah, shit game, no fans, and they're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah,
like, yeah, okay, you've made a shooter, which is. No, it's very hard to make a good live service game, but it's the easiest of the live service games, a shooter. And like this is different. And Naughty Dog would be like, well, but we've put so much time and effort in, and Bungie just walks into the room and say it's shit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, they haven't said it's shit, like, but there's something that's not quite right.
Kirk, it certainly sounds like it because it seems like the team's been downsized. Project's been downsized when it had been upscaled. Like they bought into this. It's like Sony have gone, okay, well, we actually need a flagship live service game, and maybe they're just having to pivot at this point because they just don't believe The Last of Us multiplayer is going to be that. And I'm really disappointed. Actually, I was really looking forward.
I think there's a lot of people that are, because obviously it wasn't included with the remake, was it? So all as part 2.
No, it wasn't. And after the showcase, spoilers, when it wasn't there, the reaction to it not being there was, like, where the fuck is Factions? Where is The Last of Us Factions? Where is it? And so they've had to come out and say something, because I don't think they realised how much probably the fan base were relying on this being the flagship live service game that they're talking about.
The other aspect of this as well, that little tidbit that they put in the statement of a brand new single player experience, that could be anything at this point. It could be a new IP. I know that Neil Druckmann has said that they haven't confirmed whether they're doing part 3 or if it's going to be a new IP.
Last of Us 3, baby.
I mean, you'd like to think it is, but is it?
I would like to think it is.
I hope Joel's in it.
Yeah, Joel will play a big part in it.
He absolutely will be.
I'm sure he will be. Good. But you can't leave a franchise like that behind. Like, there will be a Last of Us 3. Like,
yes.
How many copies, this combined, like, especially a Part 1 remake, it's probably sold 35 million across the whole series or something. Like, you don't just go, we've completed the story, guys. Let's move on. Like, that doesn't fucking happen. You make another game because that earns money.
Yeah, that's what people milk the cow.
Especially PlayStation,
exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Yeah. They're not thinking about closing any stories, they're just thinking about...
They love milking cows.
Yes. They love money.
That milk is ready to burst from the cow.
I don't like the way
he's dropping off, yes.
Is Eddie the only hungover one here? Are we sure?
Very good.
Udders.
Oh,
sorry.
God.
Okay, sorry.
That was a weird ending to that news story.
Oh, it's me, isn't it? It's me. I'm next.
It's you next, yes.
Right. Dolphin emulator. The Dolphin emulator has been struck down by the Nintendo ninjas. So
I love that name.
So the Dolphin emulator, which is famous for Wii games and GameCube games primarily, also other things, but it was announced to be coming to Steam back in March, if you remember. So it's actually going to go on like the Steam store. Emulation itself isn't illegal. We've been over this a couple of times. It's under certain conditions, it's fine. The emulators usually aren't the things called into question. It's the ROMs and how you get them. That's usually the problem. But this probably made Nintendo mad that potentially this emulator was going to be coming to Steam and make it more mainstream and make it more obvious to a lot of people who... Because at the moment, emulation is a thing where you have to go out for it. You have to go out and get it yourself. You have to sort it all out. The emulator is available on like GitHub and other places. But to have it potentially on the front and center of Steam, Nintendo probably thought they should look a little bit deeper, and they have, and they found some code within that emulator which belongs to them. I'm not going to get into the technicalities because I listened to one news thing on it, and that was enough for me. There's a part of it which belongs to them. They've written to Valve, Steam owners, and with the copyright breach info, takedown notice as well. And that's how the Dolphin makers learnt of Nintendo's now involvement. Nintendo have a short time to consider potentially suing. It's something like 29 days or something. And I think the likelihood is they will, because they put a cease and desist out there, obviously, and so this is now indefinitely being pulled from Steam. It won't go on there. But if they don't follow through with something, then it's unlikely that it will stop it in its entirety, and it could eventually go onto Steam. That's what they might be thinking.
Surely with Nintendo, you'd think they're going to sue regardless.
Yes, and that's it. I mean, the Dolphin emulator. This is a case of within their code, and they would have probably known. Nintendo's probably never taken a look deeply into this before. They wouldn't have known about it and not done something previously. It's now they've got people to look at it, and now they've got the Iris Sauron on them, haven't they? And they've brought it upon themselves. They're probably fucked now. So they could get sued. It could get pulled from everywhere. Let's see what happens. But indefinitely, it's been pulled from Steam. It won't be going on there. And now Dolphin could be in trouble.
Yes. Yeah, I mean...
And it's unknown whether they could rewrite that part and change it up and still get it working without that. And because it's out there in the wild still. And, who knows? But it's not good news for a lot of people who are into emulation for game preservation. Dolphin, I think, has progressed so much in recent years and is a fantastic emulator by all accounts.
Yes. And this probably is the end for them, to be honest, but we'll see. Maybe they could redo it. Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Tricky. Anyway, to round out the main news, we have some information on Sony's longer-term plans. Which came from their financial report. It's that time of year, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, good. I like the initial quote for this, which was that Jim Ryan said that their plans are fairly interesting and quite aggressive for cloud gaming. Fairly interesting is a big pitch to put on your statement.
Big statement, big time, big time.
Fairly interesting. You might not turn it off partway through, So this came through in their financial results briefing. But they don't obviously reveal huge amounts of specifics. There's an awful lot of guff in this article, I'm going to say it here, but they did highlight the word mobility as a big thing and that they want to exploit that trend. That sounds a lot to me like they're looking at handheld, potentially.
Well, at the showcase, obviously.
Spoilers. Yeah, thank you. We'll get to that
Leading
later.
us in there, Peter, like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to avoid them too much. They also promised 2 or more major releases every year from their own internal studios.
Really?
Covering
Are we sure about that?
That's what they've said. Covering every major genre and constituting
Spoilers,
a mix of single-player and live service games with a balance of big IP, big franchises and new IP. And they apparently have a dozen live service games in development at the moment, which I could have sworn at one point it was 28 or something. Have we seen the others? Have they come out?
I think it's been 12 for a while, but I know I think it started off maybe hard. I think we've kind of known that. I think that's the number.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. I could have sworn about a year ago we did one where there were 28 live service games or something.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe I think that might have been
16 releases.
That might be a mixture of games they're working on.
Maybe.
But the live service ones, maybe. I think, were 12.
Yes. Either way, it seems to be they're putting a big focus on the live service games going forward anyway, but hopefully not at the cost of single player.
No, they showed that graphic in this stuff, which showed that they were going to be growing the live service investment development, the money putting it in quite substantially, but the single player game development pot was growing slightly, I think, over the last couple of years. So I don't think single player gamers need to really worry. I think they are just kind of broadening their types of games with the live service. I think that's how they're trying to present it anyway. That live service will make a big component, but single player will also continue to be a huge option for gamers.
Yes, yeah, they're basically saying there's more money in the market in live service, but we don't want to lose all of our captive audience in single player.
Yeah, and you have to invest quite heavily in live service to get one working. Don't
got to be a lot of failures for one big one.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, so fairly interesting, I think, was the key word in all of that, but only if you have a PlayStation, anyway.
There is that, yeah.
Yeah, so, hopefully in more interesting stuff, Eddie, why don't you lead us into the new releases?
Nice segue. Very nice segue. Yeah. It was poorly used because it's not a great week. It's a busy week, but it's not a great week.
There's a clear and obvious standout there. So,
We'll get to Street Fighter soon, Pete, all right? But just take your time, all right?
Spoilers, damn it.
Because first we've got Gunfire Reborn coming out on PlayStation's June 1st. Well, it's a PlayStation release. It came out in 2020 on PC. It's a level-based adventure game featuring first-person shooting, roguelite, and RPG elements. It is very positive on Steam. I've never played it or heard of it, if I'm being totally honest. Have you guys heard of it?
I've heard of it. I don't know where. Did we talk about it previously? Because I've definitely heard about it.
When I looked it up, I recognised the silly little things that are in it, like cats or something. So Random animals. But all fucking games do this now. Why is this a thing?
But
it looked quite good, I thought. Looked right.
It looks alright, and very positive on 73,000 reviews.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I saw that.
Shit, that's a lot.
Yeah, they must be doing something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can play it on PlayStation now. Next one, Killer Frequency, coming out on PC, PlayStations, Xboxes, and Switch, and Quest 2. Oh, jeez.
Oh, boy.
The full Nelson's gone up. June 1st, Killer Frequency is a first-person horror adventure game that puts you in the shoes of Forrest Nash, a late-night radio host whose callers are being stalked by a mysterious killer. Solve puzzles, save lives, and run the switchboards, all while listening to a jukebox of retro 80s tunes. It's a comedy horror game, which is quite interesting, with real-time decisions and puzzle solving. So the visuals look quite nice, actually. It's not like the typical dark and scary look. It's more just because you're in like a studio. It's fully voice acted, so it's got one over on Pokemon already, and it has a retro soundtrack. It's I'm not mad at it.
I can understand that. The only sort of part of it that throws me off is if you're a late night DJ and your audience starts getting murdered, do you not go, that's possibly beyond my pay grade, I'll get the police involved?
No.
As opposed to, I'll figure this
He's
out
protecting
myself.
his listenership.
I mean, he is protecting
He sees
his
those numbers. He sees that his job's on the line here.
Hosting at uni, didn't you?
Yeah, and if people started
did you not think
murdered,
I need to protect my listeners?
None of them got murdered.
Oh, you were probably the one doing the killing, though.
He was. He is that way inclined.
I was just killing their enthusiasm for radio. That's all I had.
Very good.
Very good.
But yeah, I probably would have reported it to the proper authorities if a lot of them started dying. The other question is, how does he know for sure? Do they call in as they're getting murdered?
Pete, I feel like you're delving
protagonist
into
of a video
something that's not important here. I think you're really into it too much.
If this is the level of detail we go in with a lot of these games, it's
going to be a long podcast.
None of these games will work.
I will pick up the mood a bit and say it is Team 17.
It is.
Okay,
as developer as well as publisher.
Ben, I knew you were going to say this, and
miss,
the last game you played was Dredge, and you said it was a big miss. So,
for me, it was.
There's a lot of people that really fucking love that game.
That's true.
Yeah, those people are.
It's just Ben's poor taste that was the
issue. They're not like me. They're a better breed.
I think I'd actually really like Dredge, so putting that on my wish list.
I think you would not.
Interesting.
Right. Unwishlisting it. Right, let's move on to what Ben and Pete will say is the big one of the week. Street Fighter 6. Coming out on PC, PlayStations, Xboxes, June 2nd. My voice is going to go at some point during this podcast.
I'm enjoying it weakening.
I can feel it. I can feel it getting. It's all scratchy at the moment.
We can hear it.
It's going to go. It's going to go. I can't hear it, though, because I've got these new headphones, so I can't fucking hear a thing. You'll have to tell me if you just hear squeaking coming out. Like, here comes Capcom's newest challenger, Street Fighter TM 6 launches worldwide on June 2nd, 2023, and represents the next evolution of the Street Fighter TM series. Street Fighter 6. Oh, they didn't put TM after that one. That's interesting. Street Fighter 6 spans 3 distinct game modes, including World Tour, Fighting Ground, and Battle Hub. So yeah, it's the new fighting game from Capcom. I've put Psy there. I don't know if that meant I was going to sigh, or maybe I was just sad when I was doing the prep this morning. To be fair, I was pretty rough this morning, so maybe I was just sad.
You did it quite early, actually. You did your prep early.
Yeah,
because I was looking at the dock and I was like, "Oh,
yeah." It was morning. I woke up on the spare bed because I had a few too many drinks last night. So it was one of those bright and early wake up calls.
That sounds like you had an argument with the missus. What you mean is you've got a drunk Eddie bed.
Yes. My girlfriend refuses to sleep in the same bed as me when I drink because apparently I snore like a fucking champion. So
from 3 rooms away, when you stay here, I can agree with her.
There you go. I'm a bit snory when I've had a drink. Let's get back to the game. It's got a highly evolved combat system with 3 control types. You can go classic, modern, and dynamic. There's a real-time commentary feature, which is pretty cool. Apparently, it makes it entertaining for when you're fighting other people online. The World Tour is a single-player story mode where you actually explore this world or these districts. You can trade and buy stuff, cosmetic stuff, and customize yourself. And of course, you can go and fight other people. So it actually looks quite cool, if I'm to be totally honest with you. People obviously will love this. Street Fighter franchise is huge around the world. So, and because it's got that World Tour mode, I'm not even going to shit on it. There's also a free demo for our listeners. So, what do you guys think? I know none of us are fighty games, but it doesn't look bad with that new mode, does it?
It's like Christmas for fighting game fans at the moment, isn't it? With Mortal Kombat 1,
of course, yeah.
That, so
yeah, that £50 Switch game.
What?
Yeah,
isn't it? Isn't that what we said?
It's actually £70.
Yes, it was even more.
Well, you're bringing up the price, so I'll correct it.
Christ, you made me feel worse.
Kirk, have you ever been into fighting games?
Nah, I used to. I quite enjoyed the Mortal Kombat games, but I kind of fell off after. Well, I guess actually it was more the Mega Drive games. That's a really fucking long time ago. But the modern day fighting games would be your Tekkens.
I was a Tekken boy. I think I bought about 3 or 4 of them. Yeah, I was a Tekken boy.
See, the only fighting game that I've ever really got into was Battle Arena Toshinden.
Oh, okay.
Battle Arena Toshinden 2 on the PlayStation. That was I was very into that.
Niche choice, but fair enough.
Well, yeah. Well, as a kid, you get what you're given.
Yeah, that's very true.
Exactly. Yeah, my mum used to kick my ass at Tekken, so I stopped playing it.
Are you sure that wasn't just real life?
It was after playing.
Jesus,
that's how he spun the story as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Fuck me, is that the level this banter's going to today? Wow.
Child abuse, yeah.
Jesus Christ. I apologise, Mrs.
We
Eddie.
didn't think it would go there, but it did.
Remember, Eric here is he's not invited around your house anymore now.
Fuck off with it, Eric.
You're
prick.
done, fat Eric. Right, we love Katamari Reroll plus Royal Reverie. Great name. Coming out on PC, PlayStation, Xboxes and Switch, June 2nd. You're effectively a dung beetle. That's the whole game. And if you're thinking I'm lying, I'm not. It's a bit like, that mobile game where you moved to the spot and you swallowed up stuff and you
Donut County.
Oh, fuck me. How do you know the name of that? That's tragic.
That was really quick.
Yeah, that was quick as well. That's disturbing. Well,
I mean, both Donut County and Katamari Reroll are pretty big franchises, I'd say.
In mobile gaming?
Yeah, pretty well known.
Donut County was on the Xbox as well, wasn't it? It was on Game Pass.
Oh, it was on Game Pass, wasn't it? Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, well, this is like that. Not only that, but the visuals are terrible. It's like, it's like bright colours.
It's not great, is it? Yeah.
A bit dung-like, aren't they?
A bit dung beetle.
It's got a cult following, and I've never really bought into why, but it does. I don't really get it either, but it does.
You know what it is? It's probably one of those charming games to a select group of people. That's probably what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was probably on an old console somewhere, and people get nostalgic.
Die.
Well,
I am baffled by this, but okay.
Fine. Well, there
It's
you
a
go.
thing.
You can pick up this beautiful game on June 2nd. Let's move on. Tiny Thor, great name, coming out on PC June 5th. Unleash the bouncy power of... Come on, Pete.
Mjolnir.
Ah, yes, Mjolnir. I don't know how I didn't think of that. In the retro platformer, use the mighty hammer and many other power-ups to travel the realms of Asgard. It's a 2D platformer. It's got the simple Sega/Terraria visuals. Yeah, I'm sounding like I'm criticising, but I'm not. It looks okay. There's a free demo. What do you guys think?
This looks more polished than most of these types of games that we see, at least lately.
Does it?
It does to me, yeah. It looks a bit more polished. It's not like I'm going to play it, but it does look a bit more polished. And we know there's a market for this because there's so many of these games. Whether it'll just disappear saturated amongst the many, many, many other options.
That market is saturated.
But then they take you like 14 minutes to complete, so I guess you need that many games.
No, these games can be hard as fuck.
Oh yeah, they can also take hundreds of hours, I guess, but still. Yes.
Well, that flipped quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
If you didn't waste any time there, Pete.
I wasn't planning to. No. I suspect most of these are on the shorter side. That's what I mean.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, not for me. Let's move on. Amnesia: The Bunker. Coming out on PC, PlayStation's, Xbox's June 6th. Amnesia: The Bunker is a first-person horror game set in a desolate World War I bunker. Face the oppressing terrors stalking the dark corridors. Search for and use the tools and weapons at your disposal while keeping the lights on at all costs. Overcome fear... Fuck me, this goes on. Overcome fear... preserve and make your way out alive. Almost lost it there. Yeah, it's another first-person horror game. I've got to admit, I quite like the look of this one. It's got really good atmosphere. It looks pretty scary, actually. I like that in a lot of the descriptions they're saying there's like a heavy focus on resource management. But that's probably because I don't like horror games, so I like a different aspect in it. It's the fourth in the series, so... Ben would say that must mean it's good. And the devs, I've looked at the devs, and they have made horror games since 2007, and some of them are quite good, highly rated. So I think if you're a horror enthusiast, I think this could actually be a good game.
We just let Eddie say whatever words he wants during that.
We let him go with persevere there, definitely.
Yeah, yes. we really just let things go.
No,
these days.
I thought I did well in that blurb.
No, not that one. But this game though, I mean, you can imagine every streamer on Twitch is going to be playing this when it comes out because Amnesia is obviously a game that's been played to death. Those games, you know, famously PewDiePie, Markiplier, all these people were playing those types of games. So yeah, I imagine when this comes out, it's going to be all over Twitch.
Yes,
lovely. Yeah. I wouldn't mind watching those kind of games on Twitch because I don't like playing them, but I think I quite enjoy.
Same, yeah, I'm like that. Especially a game like this, like it's never something that I buy, but I would watch someone play it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Right, let's move on to just another one we won't spend much time on. Diablo 4 coming out on PC, PlayStation's, Xbox's June 6th or June 2nd with early access. How much more does that cost, Ben?
Depends where you buy it. The RRP for the deluxe is £90 and for the ultimate is £100.
Have you paid that? Found a discounted version.
I have the deluxe version, but I have a discount. I got it for £68.
Oh, only £68.
Discount boy.
Yeah, CD keys. They are
£68. That would be my clothes budget for about 45 years.
Yeah, but the standard version on CD keys as well is like a lot cheaper. It's all like 20 to 25% off. They've got some good deals.
So, is it, just a quick one, is that worth £17 a day for early access?
Well, you're not. No, but you get the game.
No, I know that. I get that, but you get 4 days early, don't you? Like, is it really worth it? I don't know.
Oh, the £17 extra, is that worth more for? Yeah. I don't. Okay. You say the standard version is £50? Is that what you're comparing it to?
No.
I don't know where £17 came from.
What were you aiming for here, Kirk? What were you going for?
I've completely misjudged this.
Yes, you have badly.
Okay, but I get the sentiment though. And what you get with those you do get the 4 days early access. You also get the battle pass for the seasonal battle pass is included. So something that you would have had to buy later is included earlier. So actually, it does reduce the differential in price slightly. So I'm all in.
Fair enough.
But you do only get it digitally, you don't get it physically. So if you're a physical person, then you've got to wait.
Can't
Fuck
frame
me.
it.
Went down a fucking rabbit hole there, didn't we? I haven't even gotten to the blurb yet.
Blame Kirk. Kirk.
Let's move on and sit back because there's fucking 5 lines of it. Diablo, registered trademark 4, is the ultimate action RPG experience with endless evil to slaughter, countless abilities to master, nightmarish dungeons, and legendary loot. Embark on the campaign solo or with friends through beautifully dark settings, or explore a shared world where players can meet in towns to trade, team up to battle world bosses, or descend into PvP zones to test their skills against other players. Lovely. No one cares, so let's move on. Right, next one. Loop 8, Summer of Gods.
To be fair, we're probably going to talk about this game quite a lot in the next couple of weeks anyway. So I don't blame you for that approach.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not harsh. It's the 4th main installment in the Diablo series, of course published by Blizzard Entertainment. It's what people would describe as a proper RPG. From a 24-minute gameplay that I've seen, it actually looks fucking good. Ben, obviously, you're getting it. Pete, are you going to get it?
I am. Whether I'm day one or not is the question.
It's a lot of money for day one, and it's gonna. I think. Well, we already see that the websites that get it cheap. I think it's gonna. I think after a few months, I think it'll be a good price. You know.
I don't think the price is going to come down that much.
But this is my other problem.
I think on those websites they will, Ben. They somehow always get little grubbiness in there.
I'd love a £1.34, but no.
No.
Yeah. My problem every time a game goes over like 60 quid, I can't see a way to justify it. So we'll see. I probably will bite the bullet.
Pete, I'm going to put a big bet down now. I reckon within 4 months you will be able to get it for £20.
Yes, but everyone I would have played it with will probably be done with it by then. That's the other factor.
Yeah.
I don't think you will.
There's 4 or 5 people.
The reason I say that you won't is because Diablo 3 is how many years old, and how much is that?
Well, but what's the
bet
lowest it's been available at
exactly.
for a 2-week period? That's the big question.
Get it.
Say that again, Pete, sorry?
What's the lowest it's been available for a 2-week period is the real question.
So you can get it cheap right now because the new one's coming out, obviously. But previously it's always been relatively high in price. You've already said it as well when you were looking at getting it again, Pete. You were looking at playing Diablo 3. It's like, well, I just need it for cheaper. It's it's 30 quid like religiously. But as I said, the standard edition on CD keys is also like 20 to 25% off at the moment, which is very good. But this is gonna. They've added in MMO aspects to this, and I'm really interested. It's the game that my most anticipated game of the year, so it's the one that I'll be playing the most of. It's the game that I'll probably play the most number of hours into like this year. So,
do you think it's going to be your game of the year? I know with Zelda being around, I think that's quite difficult.
It's very like when the Cult Game of the Year conversation, and we entertain it as well. It's quite hard to talk about. The game like Zelda is so. There's so much stuff. There's so many layers to it, and it's a completely different experience, obviously, to this, which is a loot-based, combat-focused, some story, but it's more about the loop and the grind and the min-maxing and the character builds and the live service elements to this game. Like that's what this game is. And if you're not into that side of stuff and you want more in terms of story and like some different mechanics coming in here and there, it's like, well, the main hook on this is that you get seasonal stuff to keep things
I was going to say, Ben, like, what is there outside of like the combat and running around that kind of keeps you coming back? Because that's what I'm interested in.
Well, there's an end game process where to like keep going with your character. That's one thing. Right. But also there's seasons which then every 3 months changes up the seasonal kind of world with a slightly different focus. You have to restart a character and go again and create a few things again. Now it's not if you're going into this for extreme like story and that type, it's not like that. It's a different type of RPG. It also is a classic ARPG.
Yes.
And has more of a and Pete, you talk about World of Warcraft also. It's got more of that slant than like a Baldur's Gate, you'd say.
Yeah.
So it's you're after different things, and you have to love the loop, don't you?
Very much so. And I am also very keen to see how they've well, not how they, because we kind of know how they're going to, but the execution of the MMO sides of it. I think that could be really good if it pays off. And the fact that we've already got some people who might want to play it means you've got a good testing ground for it. So,
yeah, the MMO stuff is 100%, because they obviously went that way with Diablo Immortal on the phone. Like, adding in those MMO elements, I think that's what was missing from 3. Now, I thought 3 was glorious, but what was missing was like something to make it more than just the seasonal content, something where there's just a bit more interaction, something else going on, and they could go in many directions with it. And as they've repeatedly said, and I've watched all of the developer directs, which go on for a hot minute, but they say this is just the start. Like they're going to see how it goes, and they will change things up as required. So yeah, very looking forward to this hopefully being a game that I will consistently play over this generation.
There you go. Indeed. All right, let's move on then. Loop 8 Summer of Gods coming out on PC, PlayStation, Xboxes and Switch June 6th. Your choices shape the world in this coming of age... Oh, God, as soon as you read that, you go, fuck off. In this coming of age RPG. As a new arrival in a 1980s rural Japanese town, that's where we all want to play games, isn't it? With a mysterious ability to loop time, your every decision and relationship will affect the outcome of battles against the invading Kejai.
You know what? That one is one none of us will really know for sure, so yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Kegai,
so I'm going to say Kejai, and I'm completely correct.
Sure.
Kejai. It's a JRPG with the typical like JRPG anime look. It has turn-based battles. Yeah, like the relationships and like the way you talk to people and like decisions you make really do affect your gameplay, especially apparently even with combat. I think if you're into your JRPGs, you'll probably look at this and go, yeah, I'll get it. Obviously, I'm not going to get it. But what do you guys think? Do you think this could be a good one for them?
Just to pop in here, I think this is really Persona like, but with this time loop mechanic built in. Like it seems to be, if you're into Persona, like really into it, then this one could be right up your street.
Are you saying you're going to be up for this, Ben?
I think I'll be keeping an eye on this. I am looking at this going like, I didn't know what this was. Loop 8. I mean, it's all one word as well.
Yes.
Loop with the number 8.
Yes, with the number 8 as well. Yeah.
Yeah, presumably that's for infinity or something. I don't know, but like to look like it. But I think it's one to keep an eye on, because actually looking at it, it looks like a scaled down version of Persona with a time loop mechanic built in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of those things entertain me. But yes, can see why you'd be keen. Awesome.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, we haven't heard from you in a while. Is this something you're going to be getting day one?
Absolutely not.
Okay, that makes sense.
Just saw that coming. Right, last one. Quanta! Oh, there goes my voice. Oh, that hurt. Right, PC, VR and Quest 2, June 7th. Quanta is a free-to-play VR party brawler. Command heroes with distinct class-based roles and enhanced hero abilities with cause to compete in multiple game modes, party with friends in social-themed rooms, and customize yourself with cosmetic skins. I don't know what this is. I think you like summon things and they fight each other and like you're looking at the battlefield. I don't know. It's all very hectic, and when I was hungover this morning, I didn't want to spend time on looking at it. However, I'm not mad that there's a free-to-play VR game. Like, the more, stuff coming out in VR, the better, I think. Are any of you going to say something good about this?
Doesn't look like it's on PSVR 2, does it?
No.
That momentary pause was all we needed, really, there.
Don't jump into praise it at once.
Is this just one of those... This is going to be one of those games which is, let's throw shit at the wall and see if anything sticks for next time, isn't it?
Well, I mean,
is it like another... Is it a Smash Brothers kind of knockoff type thing? Is that... It looks a bit, doesn't it?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
I think you're really
it's a bit of a stretch, isn't
it?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It's free to play though, so there you go.
The one positive I saw from it, there is a character who uses a sword, and his name is Sushi Master. So that's cool.
The only good thing I'd seen as well. I liked that.
Yeah. I delved deep. I was like, oh, I'll look at the publisher and developer as well, and no, there's nothing here. But there is Sushi Master, so there you go. Right, my pick of the week. Oh, fuck me. I'm going to have to choose it, aren't I? There's nothing else here. I would love to choose something else. Maybe even that fucking dung beetle game. I don't know. But no, it's got to be Diablo 4, as everyone's so exciting. And if there is someone out there buying all my pick of the weeks, then at least they'll be happy going home with Diablo 4.
That's true. They've finally got an actually good game.
And it is something. I know you're never going to play it, Eddie, because you'd never pay the money for it. But it's got the potential to be. It's got the potential to be a game that you'd absolutely adore.
Yes, but I think so too.
You'll never know.
I'll never know.
It's too expensive for him. That's his
Well,
budget.
you would know actually if Microsoft complete the deal with Activision.
Yeah, bit of Game Pass, baby.
You would come to know it. So yeah, who knows?
9 to 15 months potentially, if nothing goes wrong. Yeah.
You may or may not.
May or may not.
No. Then we'd know if there was an appeal, which would then. They'd have to reassess it, so another year or so.
So Diablo 5, you might play Diablo 5 on Game Pass.
Fantastic. Well, let's look forward to that day. Spoilers.
I found Diablo 3 for £10.
Okay, you should definitely play that.
But I've pointed that out because Diablo 4 is coming out now. They're selling the dual pack of 2 and 3 really cheap.
And you should definitely play 3. 3 is, from everything I've heard, excellent.
Yeah, but 4's just 3, but much better.
Yes, but much more expensive. Also, you haven't played it yet. You don't know if it's much.
No, I have played it though. We have. You haven't. You've played an hour, but I've played fucking 15 hours of the game.
I played 4 hours, Ben. But yes,
you played an hour.
I think Abby's kicking the shit out of both of you here, guys. How many hours did she spend?
Yeah, no, she's played 30 odd hours.
Yeah. She made us both look like amateurs.
When can we get Abby on the podcast instead of Ben?
Maybe to talk about Diablo. So let her go.
There you go. As long as you're not on, Ben, I'm happy.
That's fine because I can't have 2 people. Can't have 2 people talking about Diablo.
If Ben didn't show up one week or was sick, can you imagine our what we've been playing section? Just let's move on to the feature.
I can imagine it. I can imagine it, Eddie, because there would be no podcast.
That is the end result, yes. But me and Eddie would have a lovely chat about RimWorld.
It's over.
Just a press release on Twitter. There will be no podcast this week.
Unfortunately, the recording didn't go so well, and there was no one to edit.
Nor to remind us to clap or record.
And no one knew how to upload it.
There we go. Yes,
lovely.
Perfect. Look forward to that day, audience. Right, so on to what we've been playing, which, as mentioned at the beginning, is Planet of Lana. And this all came from last week's episode, more specifically Eddie's Game Pass Real Deals.
Real deals.
Yeah. How do we want to start this, guys? I mean, how much have we each played, I guess?
I played
a few hours of it.
I played about an hour, just over an hour.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, probably the same, Kirk, yeah.
I've played a couple of hours.
I'm probably about the same as you, Ben. Maybe a little bit under that.
Do you want to kick us off, Pete, then?
I certainly can do. So this is a puzzle platformer, as I think we talked about over both the last 2 weeks. Anyway, it is absolutely beautiful. I'm going to say that up front. It's got excellent atmosphere, excellent music.
Yep.
And a simple but not so far not boring gameplay loop. I think all of those are quite fair, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
not setting the world alight with its game mechanics, but
that's
good enough.
I don't think it's trying to. It has a sense of the Ori in it in terms of it's trying to just pull you in.
Yes.
The thing that differentiates it from Ori and other ones of these that I really like is the lack of combat, obviously. There's no combat at all in this, at least so far.
Yeah.
But I haven't minded it too badly. I didn't actually mean to play more than an hour when I started, and I ended up just cruising on until I had to go and do something else, basically.
I thought this might grab you. I thought of all of us, it was you, and then maybe me, and then maybe Kirk, and lastly Eddie, who would kind of grab.
Yeah,
I'd say kind of reflection.
I'd probably have flipped you and Kirk around, but yes, depends on the phase. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I will probably go back and complete this, to be honest, because I don't think it's that long anyway, and I'm enjoying it. I know I can sit down and just play straight through if I want to.
Yeah, it's short. It's 3.5 hours, I think.
This is what I thought, so I'm probably about halfway.
So the start. If we just start of it, where and how that builds in. So it is this cinematic kind of, as you said, puzzle platformer. Yes. There's this alien kind of robot invasion.
Yeah, of your heartwarming village. Yes.
Yes, and they take your friends and family, and then you're off to kind of
you're hunting for your sister, aren't you? That's
your sister.
Yeah.
Oh, is it your sister?
I
thought it was friend, but is it sister?
No. So there's an achievement you get seconds before that calls it sisters. So
yes, I saw that come up. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to try and save your sister who has been pinched by the aliens.
But but then you get your companion.
Yes, like the little cat Mui.
Yes.
Fair? Yeah. That's
yes. Like
a cat.
It's definitely a cat. It's a stylized cat.
But then it reacts like a dog. It's like a stylized cat, but it acts like a dog.
With a monkey's tail.
That's fair.
But the thing that got me was like I wanted it to have a bit more of a like these games really work and they're all about atmosphere, aren't they?
Yeah, massively. So.
And it had something at the start, but it wasn't like a massive. It didn't feel like a massive thing.
Sorry, can I chime in? I'll say my piece on it. Like with all these games, I always say. Whenever I would never ever play this unless someone made me, and I've played it, and like all the other games like this, I've really enjoyed it. I think the atmosphere, the music, everything is just beautiful. Do you know my biggest problem is the game is simple, right? Mm-hmm. The best bit about this game is the atmosphere, the music, the way you feel when you play it. Now the problem with that is because it's such a simple mechanical game. I want to be doing something else when I'm playing it, like watching the football, or I don't know.
That's how I played
having
it.
Something on the background. But you know what? I found myself. So I had the football on yesterday, last day of the Premier League. Plug. And I had the headphones, and I kept on putting the headphones back on, but then something exciting happened in the football, and I kept on taking it off. And then I was like, well, there's no point playing this game if you haven't got your headphones on, because it's all about the atmosphere drawing you in.
Yeah.
And it was like I was in a weird puzzle conundrum. I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's really beautiful. I think it's really nice. I think if you like these kind of games, I do think it's too simple for me. Like when I played Ori, at least there's a lot of mechanics there that you feel like you're actually playing a computer game, while this is just quite simplistic. I'm caveating at this by saying that I did die in the first 10 seconds. And I don't mean by being seen by one of the robots. I walked off the cliff.
Yes. So did I.
Did you? Good, right? Because you're going left the whole entire time.
I think you made an excellent point there, Eddie. Firstly, by saying that it's a game that relies on atmosphere and sound and everything. But I too was playing this in handheld. I don't want to sit. I don't want to sit at a desk or sit at my sofa like playing this game. I don't. That's not for me. I'll play this in handheld. So I was also doing other stuff. I didn't mind too much, but I do get your point about being pulled in. I did think that the puzzles are trial and error.
Yeah,
like definitely. To me, like you get, and it's death always happens. I don't like that. Like it's just I figure out how to do it by just
Elden Ring,
dying.
It's full on Elden Ring. Learn
no,
by
because you
simple Elden Ring.
Yeah, I suppose it is, but it's a puzzle platformer. And that one instance you talked about, Eddie, like that's the part where you can't see down. Like it's just like, oh right, well I have to go off this cliff. No, you don't. You have to go just round the corner, but you just jump into oblivion and die. You're like, okay, well,
that's what I do.
Right, fine. And then the loading screen is just that little too long for me. After dying.
There are a couple of points I'll agree as well where the puzzles are kind of limited by your camera angle. So it can be actually really difficult to even picture where you're meant to go.
Yes.
And the most difficult mechanic for me so far has been that drop down off a ledge.
Yeah, by pressing
That
down,
one,
yeah.
if you just mess that up slightly, she just hurls herself into oblivion. Like, with utter abandon. It's like, you did this 2 seconds ago, love. Didn't you learn? Like,
Yeah.
I'm clearly not aiming for that because you died before. I will say, I do like that they keep, so far at least, they keep increasing the difficulty of the puzzle, like bringing in new things, new ways to use the cat, and new sort of, they're not entirely new mechanics, but they're variations on the theme.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed that so far.
Found that.
Yeah. I haven't found it quite as trial and error after the first, hour, I guess. But
I guess you learn what it's trying to do,
everything,
don't you?
Yeah, but
yes,
if you can't see everything on screen, it does. Those are still. It's kind of like, right, well, I've got to try something because I'm not just going to stand here.
Yeah.
So,
but I find it's those ones where you have to get an enemy to move in a certain way, and then you have to be over the other side of it because it's all about kind of stealth stuff, isn't it? Like not being seen by robots and that sort of
timing.
Yeah, and timing, and it does require a bit of that, and that's good, and I do think that some of the puzzles where you do them, you're like, nice, and when you do them quickly, you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. I also think that for younger people, this could be an excellent game as well.
Definitely.
I also feel like it could be an excellent game for younger people because the character development, to critique the game, the character development in this game isn't particularly great, and it just is like if you have no affiliation with having pets, I don't think you get anything. They don't try and develop the relationship at all between
but you can
the
pet
animal.
You can
pet it. Yeah, you can pet it, but they don't. It's just like
you get an achievement.
Yeah,
you do. Yeah, I got that. It's just like okay, now we're friends, and now you just listen to everything I do. There's no building there. It's just accepted, and you're just supposed to go okay, yes, we all love cats, and we all love dogs. Yeah, that all makes sense and stuff.
I mean,
okay, fine.
Well, there's always problems like this sort of stuff, and we are diving a little bit too deep into critique when I say that she doesn't even know. Like, your main character, Lana, has no idea that just running in a vague direction with a cat is going to help her in finding a sister.
Yeah, exactly. Like what?
There's no targeted plan. She just continues running. It's very
I have
Forrest
to go
Gump
right
in its execution.
Let's go right on the screen.
Exactly,
that is the way.
Yeah. But I think we're doing it a bit of a disservice there because so few of them do explain that sort of stuff. If we're comparing it to Best in Class, like Hollow Knight, Ori, that type, it's a bit harsh anyway.
Well, we are and we aren't because that particular aspect, yeah. But I think there is something to be said for the fact that this game relies solely on atmosphere.
Yes, but
if you boil anything else down, it's not saying the world, it's not doing anything new on anything else, and it's just atmosphere. That
said, though, I feel atmosphere is too simple for it. The environments are beautiful and varied.
Yeah.
The soundtrack's awesome as well.
The soundtrack is really good, and the environments change very swiftly. It's good. I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah, and yes, it's just that the actual interactivity with the environment. If you actually boil down the actual environments as you go through, even when you're going underground and that type of stuff, it's all exactly the same. It's just with a different behind it with a different.
It's a veneer, Ben. Is what
and that's unlike other.
So for me, with this, I immediately echo in the whole beautiful art direction. Obviously, you said the soundtrack's great. Sound effects are the environment, the atmosphere, everything is top notch. But I've only played an hour, but I was finding myself extremely bored whilst I was playing it. After the initial oh wow, this looks really nice and it sounds really good. They've nailed all of that stuff down to a T. But just the pure simplicity of it, and I know the puzzles get gradually harder, etc. But it's just not. It's not. I don't like the way it feels. When you're running, it feels really sluggish.
Yes,
and you've got and you do have to time things perfectly, when you're jumping onto a ledge or something. Mm. And the thing that really fucks me off is if you press jump, you can't move left or right.
Right. You know what annoyed me is the lack of running.
No, yeah, so if you're in a stationary position, you jump up and you can't change your direction. So if I was trying to jump up onto a ledge really quickly, I have to be facing that direction, and it's just little things like that that niggle me. I'm just not wanting to play it anymore. But on a side note, my roommate she was like, "Oh, do you mind if I play?" I was like, "Yeah, cry out for your boots," and she's actually loving it. So
I think you're making a good point though, Kurt, because I felt the same after like half an hour, 40 minutes of playing this. I was I spoke to my girlfriend and she's like, "Oh, is it any good?" I was like, "It's boring." But then I played more of it, like played a bit more today, and it's like when you are using MUI do they actually ever call it MUI? It's only with the achievement they called it MUI. That's the only other time
it's called MUI, so I'm guessing it's MUI, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I only saw that in the achievement when I pet it. I didn't actually, at no other point did I know the name of MUI.
I think it was in some of the promotional material as well. But
I think it was.
That's good. Everything outside the game.
Exactly.
But it's I thought the same thing, Kurt. It's just that when the puzzles then started to develop a little bit, I thought, oh, this is good. And if it wasn't for me just wanting to play Zelda and anything getting in the way of that makes me slightly irritated, I would have probably played a lot more of it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I've got other things I'd like to play other than this, but because I was jumping on this week, I thought I'd better play it so I can have a voice on this. I don't think I'm going to play any more, but I can definitely see a reason why I would. It's a step in the... Oh, go on.
I was just going to say, I think it's going to be, if I just want a chill out for half an hour game, I think I might. I'm leave it installed. And if I don't want to take things too seriously, I just might jump on, play a little bit, make myself feel good.
Yeah, and you never know. The story might have an emotional element to it, and then
excellent palate cleanser. That's the thing.
Yes, that's what I mean, Pete. Yeah, because we play quite intense, punishing. I don't like gaming kind of games, you know. So
I don't like gaming myself or anyone else. Yes.
No. The amount of times I'm gaming and I go, why the fuck do I bother? Like at the moment, I'm playing a lot of Three Kingdoms. I'm playing it on the hard difficulty where you can't save, Pete.
Yes.
And then you accidentally move the wrong guy, start a fight, lose your best guy. Oh, he's dead, and you go, why do I game? I hate my life. I hate everyone. Let me go to the other room and shout at my girlfriend and pretend it's about, I don't know, our relationship. So yeah, this will be a good
Jesus.
Instead of going and shouting at my girlfriend, I'm going to just jump on this, play for half an hour. There you go.
Exactly.
That's its real USP.
Then you'll be furious about falling off a cliff instead.
Will mean you don't shout at your partner. They didn't put that in the blurb, did they?
When you do fall off the cliff, though, it's quite brutal. You do just go ragdoll.
I was going to say, beyond that, when the robot catches you at any point, they are savage.
Also, those little pig creatures. That was my first time being killed. They fucking they yeet you.
Take no prisoners. No prisoners are taken.
Oh. Very good for a younger audience, this game. Yes. No. I still think it would be fine. Yeah. If they release a blood mod, it'll be a bit awkward, but otherwise it's all good. Yeah.
But it is short, though, isn't it? As I said, it's short, it's cinematic, it's a palate cleanser.
And for that, I think it's an excellent version of itself, if you see what I mean.
And it's on Game Pass.
It is on Game Pass.
Yeah. Game Pass game.
Well... There we go. That's for the first time I think we've all played the same game in 1 week.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah,
and it will never happen again.
And it
Has
will
that?
never,
Didn't we all do that with
Halo? Played Halo?
I suppose that. Yeah, I suppose that counts.
It has to be on Game Pass for us. Starfield will do that.
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk, yes.
But that was only the three of us, wasn't it? But yes, that's fair.
Yeah, 3 of us at the time. Yeah, but Kirk was actually playing it.
He was. On the show. We just didn't want to talk to him about it. Yeah.
We had our own. We had our own WhatsApp. You and Kirk.
Yeah, we did. We probably would have had Eddie, but he returned it so quickly that there was no point.
I turned it the first week. Gotta get that money back, baby.
Yeah, everything's fairy. It's gone. Right. Anyway, talking of massive disappointment, shall we go into the feature?
Nice.
Yeah, let's do it.
Very lovely.
Good. I felt it was a good time to say this because obviously we are going to talk about the PlayStation Showcase. Mm-hmm. And I feel that instead of our usual thing, shall we start with our overall impressions?
Ooh. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, because I feel we should separate that from the games within it. I feel that would be wise.
I think that's a good... Yeah, because then we can go in with... talk about... Yeah, then we can feel good about the games themselves. And
it means when we say one of the many repeated, completely CGI trailers actually looked cool, we're saying it actually looked cool, as opposed to going, it's yet another fucking CGI trailer. Which is what I'm going to start with.
Pete, that's my rant, though. You can't steal my rant.
Oh, no, I feel
you
can go into it deeper than I will, Eddie. But this is a particularly egregious example of it. Like, how many games do we actually see any gameplay of?
Very few.
You probably count them on one hand.
So there are 34 games in total at the showcase.
Yes. And the only one I can remember proper gameplay for, straight off the top of my head, is Spider-Man.
I wonder why.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah, and then too much of that. So, yeah, anyway, before I railroad it, everyone, what were your thoughts on it? Who enjoyed it? Good, okay. Yeah, good, that's what I expected.
Yeah, I was very disappointed. I wanted a reason to really turn on my PlayStation, and I wanted a almost in my mind to then have a schedule of kind of big releases and first party releases or whatever that would happen over the next 18 months, like stuff that is up and coming, but they seem to hold back quite a bit of their first party activity. They only showed four first party things, I think, and none of it was, like we mentioned, no Last of Us factions. There was no, I know this isn't first party, but they've got the exclusives, Silent Hill 2 and Ghost of Tsushima 2, that wasn't there, Twisted Metal, Astrobot, nothing from that, nothing from Sony Bend, nothing from, these studios that they've got working on things. There's nothing there, and I think it was just disappointing. They only needed to show a few bloody things on screen with just a logo.
Yeah.
And that would have brought the house down and changed the whole thing. Yeah. But for me, the main takeaway was that this felt very much like a Summer Games Fest, and it wasn't a PlayStation. It didn't seem like a PlayStation showcase. Sony seemed to forget that they do have competition in the market, and they didn't really set a reason as to why you would need a PlayStation at the moment. That's my take on it.
They certainly... Yeah, they definitely didn't give anyone like myself a reason to go buy a PlayStation with this.
Yeah.
But go on, Kirk. You've got one already. You're in that boat.
So, well, thankfully, I've got a catalogue of games that I still need to play, which is good for me. But for the people that have been day and date with the releases, it was complete dog shit. I watched the whole thing and when it was airing, and I was just thinking to myself, what is this? What is going on? And at the same time, I can't help but think that maybe Sony or PlayStation have actually what's the correct term? They're blowing hot air at the moment, because I think they've overspent. They've shown their hand too quickly. They've got all their first party games out. Now they're in a bit of a lull period, and there is nothing coming up. I know there's Spider-Man 2, but what else is there?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, Kirk, because I think Microsoft have also suffered with that.
Yeah,
and in their what they're trying to present is that they're coming out of that period.
Yeah,
but it seems like Sony, from what they presented, are going into that period of a bit. Exactly.
Of I think that's what it is. And Spider-Man 2 isn't going to be able to hold people in that long. So,
Kirk, let's remember that after Ragnarok came out at the end of last year, we have had Horizon DLC. Yeah, that's it. And you have to have completed Forbidden West to even play that. So Sony actually haven't released any first party. Is that right? I don't think they've released any big AAA thing.
Major, yeah.
And until Spider-Man. So that seems and that is the same stuff that we have been putting at Microsoft's door.
Yeah.
For a long time. Like, where's your fucking games? And it's now like, Sony. Same thing.
It does make me question how long it's going to be before the new stuff comes out. So if they're not showing anything now, then we could be in for 2 or 3 years of not a lot.
Well, this is why it was interesting to me that Jim Ryan said about the 1 or 2 games a year from Sony-owned studios, and it was like, okay, is that the way this is going?
Especially since 2 weeks ago, Phil Spencer said that he wanted quarterly releases.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I mean, they've got the fucking studios and a back catalogue of developers to do that, I think. So,
you said that about Xbox though, and here we are.
But they both did. Yeah, they've both got talent. I mean, even look at Bluepoint. Bluepoint weren't there as well. And the issue that is so evident is that I'm a sucker for it. Like I've recently played down all State of Plays and all that kind of stuff in my mind, and I've enjoyed them recently, like the directs and stuff, because it's like, I don't expect anything. When you call this a showcase, there hasn't been a PlayStation showcase for 2 years. You are expecting big things, and I know I'm part of the problem in that respect. But so everyone's expecting, they were getting things like bloody Bloodborne 2 or Bloodborne going to.
They wanted a remaster, didn't they?
All these different just they seem outlandish now, but also within the realms of possibility, and they just don't. There was just nothing, and it was so like, oh right, you're going to end with Spider-Man. As it went through, it's like, oh shit, Spider-Man is going to be the end thing.
Yes,
that's the big thing. The fucking Spider-Man 2, and I know, and I don't mean to get into that yet. We'll get into that, but a lot of people are very excited for Spider-Man 2, and that's fair enough. But we already know it. And it's the same thing.
So exactly that. So now I'm conscious you've got more to rant, Ben. I know I do. I feel we should let Eddie have a quick platform before we move into the actual game. So, Eddie, what did you think of it?
I'm in a pretty good mood today. Well, I am this afternoon anyway.
You're still drunk, aren't you?
I'm not. Yeah, possibly. I'm not going to shit on it too much. I said, was it a mere few weeks ago when I watched that Nintendo one, and I said then, I don't mind these. I fucking hate Nintendo, and I hate Nintendo games. But those events are good because they are short and snappy. They show lots of gameplay. They show lots of mechanics. And this is what I mean when I say that, because I spend an hour and 10 minutes of my life watching something like this, and I go, what the fuck have I just watched? Why have I wasted my life on this? And Pete, I think you raised a brilliant point. I do go into these PlayStation ones going, give me a reason to buy a PlayStation. That's all I want. It doesn't need to be much. It needs to be probably even just one game of like, this looks good.
You can't not play, yeah.
Yes, exactly, Pete. I cannot go through my life and not play that game, so therefore I need to buy a PlayStation. And it won't take much for me to do. So, but this is another failed attempt. So... Yeah, I mean, extremely negative words coming out of my mouth, but at least it's with a little positive step.
And a fantastic tee-up to start going into those games. Yes, so let's try and treat them all as individually as we can do, but because there are 34 of them, I'm obviously going to rifle through a few at a time, pick out any that stood out to you. So we opened up with Fair Games with a $sign. I'm guessing it's still Fair Games, not Fair
When
Game
you
Dollar.
read it out loud like that, it sounds even stupider.
It does, doesn't it? We also had
Brilliant.
Helldivers, Immortals of Avium, Ghost Runner 2, and Phantom Blade. Any of those stand up?
Helldivers looked like a bit like, Starship Troopers-y.
It was so Starship Troopers.
And come on, Phantom Blade... I know, Ben, you don't like the samurai look, but it looks okay.
No, Phantom Blade looked good. Everyone, and a lot of people said that, and it does look really cool. However, it did look very scripted.
Yeah.
Now, is that really gameplay? I suspect there's not a lot. There's not as much in that as possible, and it only went into development last year, and it's been made by a couple of developments.
There's a lot of buts there, Ben.
I don't believe it. I don't believe the game that was presented there. I don't believe that's the game. Like, that's the long shot.
I was gonna say point. One thing I noticed with the movement of the character, there was with whatever was looking like it was gameplay, what tried to look like gameplay, there was no fucking shadow underneath the character at all. And it looked very just plonked on there and like B tier. And the other thing I noticed, because I'm a stickler for snow effects and that kind of thing, Helldivers 2, when I saw some of the troops running through the sand, there was no like trail behind them.
Fuck's sake.
I was like, no, what are you playing at?
No, I'm saying, fuck's sake, at you, Kirk.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really the stuff we should be focusing on this point, Kirk, but...
You know what? We're fine with it. That's what happens. Yes, Helldivers 2 was definitely ripping off Starship Troopers with its entire thing.
Yeah.
Its whole presentation was, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a Starship Troopers game.
I did too.
And I'm fully in now.
I still assume it is, really.
So do I. I'm fully in. I've never even heard of the first game, which I think is like a top-down or isometric or something. I think it's completely different in nature. But seeing this, I was like, yeah, I could go for another extraction shooter. I actually really like extraction shooters. And this looked like one. It's Starship. They presented it, didn't they? It was almost like they were just ready to say, would you like to know more, or do you want to know more, or whatever?
I was kind of expecting that at the end, something like that. So yeah, I mean, if you want to play as an actual literal definition of a xenophobe, that game is going to be perfect for you. Like, yeah.
The only other one in this little opening, the actual thing that opened the show, and I think this very much set the tone for the show. So Fair Games, which was Haven Studios, and that is Jade Raymond's first game in like fucking 10 years or something. It came on with the neon kind of look and very new, however they like to present things. It like you could everyone in the stupid outfits and all that kind of shit. Yep. And it's a PvP like third person shooter. Just what a load of shite.
Yes.
Jesus.
Like you're opening. What the fuck is that nonsense?
To be fair, Ben, the thing I can say about Fair Games most is that when I made my notes for this, I just completely skipped over it.
Yeah, I had that in. Pete did a sterling job on this document. He put down like basically every game. That wasn't even there. And I was like, I've got to add that in.
Completely forgot that one.
It's an absolute load of shite and it will die.
Ben,
Yes.
I'd like to say you're talking jobbies on that, but I agree with you. So
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's jump into the second section, which Ben has kindly titled the B tier in indies. I like that. I think it's an accurate reflection of what we're about to see. So you had Sword of the Sea, the Talos Principle 2, Neva, Cat Quest, Splatoon, sorry, I mean Foam Stars, Plucky Squire, and Teardown.
Fuck you, Pete.
What stood out here? Eddie, I'm guessing you love Cat Quest then.
Absolutely. Anything
you
with a cat. Anything with a cartoon cat.
Oh, good God. Plucky Squire looked really good, in my opinion.
Thing is, we've seen that before.
I haven't.
Okay, well, yeah, okay.
Most people have.
I mean, we've done the show together, right? But you maybe you're it's the same. It's like a different cut up of a previous trailer we'd already seen. It's like, okay, right, fine, whatever.
I totally forgot it first time round, and I just like the way it was presented on this, and I thought it looked really nice, and could have some really good mechanics when you're actually playing it, with the whole coming out of the book and then going into the world kind of thing. So
100%, yeah, 100%.
Could be good, but Cat
Looks
Quest,
a bit
fuck off.
tiny, kinny.
Thank you.
Sort of thing.
No, Cat Quest is actually, those games are supposed to be quite good, and
No, Ben, come on. I love cats.
Pirates of the
No.
Caribbean.
Come on,
Brilliant.
And also that Foam Stars, that just...
Oh, can we please take a moment to talk about this?
Yeah, we can. And how dog shit it is, yeah? Please.
So Foam Stars is Square Enix, right? And I've heard this on another podcast. It might have been... I can't remember who said it. But it might have been Pure Dead Gaming's one, but they said like... that it's almost like Square Enix said, to get Final Fantasy 16, you have to show this game as well. Like in order for we'll give you you can have Final Fantasy 16, but this one here, this needs a bit of a nudge. And PlayStation have gone, fuck's sake.
Do we have to?
It was basically a Splatoon ripoff with foam instead of paint, and it looked fucking awful.
Dreadful.
Yeah.
Awful.
I hated everything about it. Like from
even
the presentation,
preppy way the character in it talks.
The whole way it started
everything.
as well. Like this city that is like really dark and dingy, and then you've got these really out there characters that come up, and then they just start battling with foam.
That's it. It's presented like it's an episode of Britain's Got Talent or something, and then it's actually them fighting with foam in some neon hellscape that looks worse to me than Night City would be. Like, just everything about that game can fuck off, basically, is where I am with that.
The other games in this section, like Sword of the Sea, looked quite nice. It was by the people who made Journey.
Yes.
And Absu.
Doesn't surprise me at all. I didn't know that. Yeah.
And they made Absu as well, which I really liked. So this will be a nice visual game like that. Neva, which it just showed like a big wolf or dog like dying.
Yeah, there was nothing in there
Christ.
gameplay wise at all. It was just a bit of a sort of an attempted emotional cutscene, wasn't it?
That and it still looked terrible, in my opinion.
No, it's made by the people who made
stylized.
Gris, and it was very much like Gris. And that was well received. So, come on, Eddie.
I could paint that. Give me an afternoon. I could make this.
Eddie, knowing you, No, you could not.
You could definitely not.
I am known for my artistic style.
Okay. You can't even write.
Or read.
Have been called chicken scratchings. That is.
You were destined to be a doctor. Anyway, yes. Shall we skip on to the next grouping? Or were there any others you wanted to mention?
I did think Talos Principle 2 looked quite nice, though.
Okay, there you go.
Quite nice.
See?
Yeah, did genuinely quite. It's a first-person puzzle game, a set on a world with AI, coming 2023 as well. A lot of this, one other critique of this stuff is there was basically nothing in this which had an actual nailed-on date.
Yes.
Like, that was a real problem that I had with the whole kind of showcase. And at this point of the showcase, we've just done these 2 sections. Fair Games is a PlayStation exclusive. I think Helldivers might be PlayStation and PC. But at this point, you're like, a lot of these are coming to other. This isn't PlayStation specific, so, and that's fine to have other things at your event which are third party, obviously. But at this point, you're like, you're just advertising games at this point.
Because PlayStation has no games, mate.
Ben,
PlayStation has no games.
You're making very valid points, but we're only through section 2 of like 8. So can we save more of them for later? Thank you. Let's go into the next set. So we had Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, Towers of Agazba, I'm guessing, Final Fantasy 16, Alan Wake 2, and Assassin's Creed Mirage. These were the biggies, you'd think.
Yeah.
This is the best section. This was the best section.
Yes, you'd think so.
Fuck's sake, Pete. Be positive,
Okay.
man.
So
let Kirk league on this.
I'm obviously super excited for Snake Eater because I've been wanting a modern day remake of a Metal Gear Solid game for the longest time. But obviously CG trailer. But before we get into that, I am excited for the collection because it's going to be the first time that we can play the old games on modern hardware, and it's the first time that you can play Metal Gear Solid 1 on an Xbox, which is nuts.
So they announced this remastered collection alongside announcing this game, which was to release in autumn 2023 of the first 3 games, wasn't it?
That's correct,
so
not confirmed if it's digital only yet, or if it's going to have a physical release, but it's quite exciting. But the idea of Snake Eater on like being remade, that's nuts. It's just such a shame that they only did a CG trailer. And I made a note here. There was no Konami logo on the trailer until it came out on YouTube, and there's no developer attached to it yet. Not officially.
They did the absolute bare minimum.
Yes.
This was their big. I mean, everyone on the internet was looking forward to this because this was really highly kind of like touted as a big thing that was happening. Kirk, I know you were all over it. Yep. So many people were like, "Yes, Metal Gear Solid." This was the most underwhelming reveal of such a huge game I've ever fucking seen. Like nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's almost like don't even say it.
It's so one of the things that I was having some conversations on Twitter about it, and one thing that did come up is it could potentially have more details at Summer Games Fest, and it was just Sony being able to have the initial official announcement of it.
I hope you're right, Kirk. I hope you're right, because this looks years away. This looks like let's not even concern ourselves.
Yeah, it's just so weird that there's nothing else attached. And if it is years away, why announce it right now? I don't get that.
But you're right, that's a really good point you make, that it could just be Sony getting ahead, because this is all obviously all on Xbox as well. Yeah. So maybe it is just Sony trying to get ahead with it. But if it's not at Summer Games Fest, then that is, Jesus Christ, this is fucking so long away.
Now,
Final Fantasy 16.
This was the one I was going to say I wanted to mention, because I like the Final Fantasy series. We know this. I've played up to 13. I should probably have played more than that. They really haven't changed the stories, like the overarching story, in a while, though. It's pretty much always you can overcome your destiny type stuff. And this one particularly stood out to me because they picked the main character name as Clive.
Yeah.
And when you're repeatedly crying out a name for aid or whatever else need in a trailer like this, Clive is just a bit out of place. You know what I mean? It's a fine name. It's an old English style name, but come on.
I wonder what the Japanese name is. Like,
It's not as bad as
the
Keith,
Japanese
for sure.
Is the
Ben,
Japanese
you've
name
said
still
this
Clive?
before. You've said, is it me or when Japanese developers make games and they change the names, it's always terrible names, and it's happened again. It's like they've typed in typical English names, but the problem is that article is from the 1970s when I'm sure Clives were throughout the land. But
yeah, if there's any Clive listening now, like I'd love to hear. You, because I don't
80-year-old on your armchair listening to it through a hand radio, then please contact us.
Transistor radio.
Don't write a letter. Try and use your email that your son set up for you.
No, let's do fax.
Yeah, you can fax us.
Very good, Kirk. Very good.
And did anybody else see from these repeated? Because we've had Final Fantasy 16 coming out of our fucking arse for the last months or whatever. Anybody see that? Finchy from The Office. I think the actor's name is Ralph Ineson or something. His voice seems so out of place with the character.
Just a
it's
bit.
like so.
Especially
great actor.
Yeah, especially when
Don't
it's
get me wrong.
compared to the other like Final Fantasy main character types, where it's like there's always some kind of special child. There's always sort of a high female voice, and then you've got him. It was a bit of a weird combo.
His voice is so deep and rich, and it's like, how is that coming from this character? I just don't. I cannot get past it, but.
Yes.
Yeah, again, Final Fantasy 16 was obviously going to be shown. It was there, but the big thing here was that a demo is going to be coming out before release. They didn't shadow drop the demo. They didn't say when the demo is coming out. No. Like they know when it's coming. What? How the? You're Sony. You've got the rights to this. This is you want that. Like that's the type of thing that would have elevated this showcase to something. But again, it was nothing. Like. That's what people are wanting. People don't want to see about Final Fantasy 16 again. Nobody gives a fuck. It's already happened. People are buying it or they're not buying it.
Yeah.
They've seen enough. They wanted to know when the demo's coming out. They wanted the shadow drop of the demo. It didn't happen.
Yes.
That's just such a waste.
It is interesting the tactics of like putting these things in these showcases, isn't it? It's almost like sometimes they just go, "I'll just put it in just to bulk it up a bit." Because there's no proper reason of having that in this, is there?
That's right. What was the reason? That was the reason. Surely that was the reason. But yeah, it didn't.
And it shouldn't, let's be honest, when a show is over an hour long, it shouldn't need bulking. It's fucking long. I don't have time to watch this.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, Alan Wake 2
wasn't
a bulk.
Let's just
that
say
looked good.
Alan Wake 2, AC Mirage, both look pretty good for what we got. But we didn't get very much on either.
I thought we did get quite a bit of Alan Wake 2. I thought the trailer looked very good.
Yeah.
I thought that one looked ace.
They look good. They tell you nothing.
We're getting there's gameplay footage being shown at Summer Games Fest for that.
Oh, that's
fantastic.
Cool.
That'll be great at Summer Games Fest. For this showcase, didn't give me much.
But Assassin's Creed Mirage looked excellent. And you say about gameplay, yes, that was all in-engine combat gameplay stuff. I mean, it wasn't, but that was actually what happens. That was effectively almost like a gameplay from a camera afar kind of thing. And it's going back to the older school Assassin's Creed. It is actually something that could get somebody interested because it's supposed to be a 12 to 15 hour game.
Ooh, I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, going back, and I know it's Ubisoft always puts me off, but Assassin's Creed Mirage looked quite tasty, I thought.
Okay, excellent. Let's crack on again because there's still a lot of stuff to go through. So after this, we came to Revenant Hill. Eddie, it's a cat game. I'm sure you loved that. Grand Blue Fantasy, which, Ultras, Dragon's Dogma 2, and Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I can't remember the exact specific new title.
Yeah. Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be looking forward to that.
Yeah, a lot of people will, because it's got a big following, hasn't it?
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people are looking forward to Five Nights 2 as well, to be honest, because that has a decent following too.
Yeah.
Maybe. For the others, I mean, let's not even bother with Grand Blue. It's just a JRPG. Yeah, love it if you want to. Revenant Hill.
By the people who made A Night in the Woods.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that'll be good.
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, it's not going to push me to buy a PlayStation, but it's a cool thing to have.
No, because it will be on everything else, I imagine.
Exactly, yeah. And I didn't even put any notes down for Ultros, and I don't think you did either, Ben. So
no, I looked at it and I couldn't be asked.
That is the name of this section. Couldn't be asked, generally. But no.
The Dragon's Dogma 2 was there, though, and that's quite a big thing. But people... I swear that people just see a big franchise or they see a big thing and they go like, oh wow, Dragon's Dogma 2, that looks amazing. No, it didn't. No, it looked awful. It looked awful. Like it didn't. Yeah, I mean they showed it. They actually showed a bit of the game. Like, don't go back to CG. Get your CG trailer on, mate.
Please don't just do better. It's the better option there. Yeah.
Maybe.
Right.
Okay.
Rolling into the VR section, where we had Arizona Sunrise 2, Synapse, Resident Evil 4 VR, Crossfire Sierra Squad, and Beat Saber.
Yes. Yeah, the main thing...
Let me lead this off by saying that Arizona Sunrise, that was a very good trailer.
Yes.
I thought excellent trailer, very witty, very funny, decent all round, but still it's just a CGI trailer, really. Did any of these stand out for anyone else?
Synapse was good. Now, the whole VR section here, it's like, okay, show some VR stuff because there's people. Remember, 600,000 people have watched this. Have bought a PSVR 2. Yeah. That's literally no one in percentage-wise of who's watching your showcase. So you have to sell your VR. Like nobody there's going. There's a very small percentage of people watching this going, I've got my PSVR 2 on that table there, and let's just see what's coming out. No, most people are going, give me a reason to buy a VR.
Yes.
That's what most people are watching this for. I'm not sure these 5 games did that, but Synapse was a highlight.
I was watching this thinking I want a reason to buy one of these headsets, and none of this grabbed me. I was even speaking to my roommate about Resi 4, and I was like, it would be cool to go and play that game in VR, but I won't want to. There's no hook there for me.
Yeah, you're not spending 500 quid just to do that.
And I obviously just playing RE4 recently anyway, where I was just like, okay, it was fine. I mean, I think it'd actually be better in virtual reality, but again, no. And I think I like the look as Synapse, but I don't know.
For those who don't know, Synapse looks like a new Super Hot VR type game, and Super Hot VR is like that game where. Eddie and I played it, but we were really drunk at the time, so couldn't get past the first level, obviously. Where it's when you move, isn't it, that time progresses and you shoot, and it's like shooting people around you and so. And so if you don't move, you kind of plan what you're going to do, and then you shoot that person, move. I thought it looked pretty cool. I thought Synapse looked pretty damn good, and I really liked the look of the first Arizona Sunrise. Actually, when I had PSVR 1, I was like, oh, should I get that game? Yeah, I think these look fine if you got a VR, but surely that cannot be the goal of the VR
selling
section.
point there, though.
Yeah, no, Half-Life Alyx. That was another big thing. So people were hoping for Half-Life Alyx to get put over here. Like this would really propel the PSVR 2. And I know, like Valve, who own it, like you got to give them a reason to do it. But that's the type of thing. If you want PSVR 2 to succeed, that is the type of game that would actually... It's the only VR game that I know which would actually be a system seller.
Yeah.
If you got that over, people would buy a PSVR 2 to play Half-Life Alyx because it was a lot of people's game of the year, and it is genuinely a AAA game. But they didn't do it.
Yeah. Well.
Yes. Now... Other than Beat Saber, which obviously is a massive winner for everyone. But yes, no. Moving on. This is the point in the show where I completely lost focus because I was so bored out of my mind. But apparently there was some PlayStation Studio stuff. So we had Marathon, we had Concord, and we saw that Destiny 2 is getting its own showcase.
Yes.
Yeah.
People who maintained focus, please talk. Yes.
Well, Marathon, I'm intrigued by, but I really like the visuals of it, like in terms of the way that they're trying to sell it. Like it's a very specific art direction that they've taken for it. But again, it's another fucking CGI trailer, which is disappointing. And there was nothing. There was nothing we were given other than somebody shoots someone whilst they're going to retrieve something out of a dead body's head. Okay, so there's gonna be some shooting involved. Okay, what is this game though?
Yeah, it turns out that it's an extraction shooter, but I think that's in the PlayStation blog. I think I heard somewhere else that was in the PlayStation blog. Why do we have to go to a PlayStation blog to work out a blog? It's not fucking 2005. I'm not looking at my cousin's fucking travel journey. Like, I don't go to a blog. Like, what are you doing? Just say in your presentation, just have a developer say what it is. Or just give something to say what this fucking game is. That's a joke. I don't get it.
Like, we live in a world where it's all fucking CGI trailers, and that's fine. We talked about this, and we did a whole fucking feature on this, but it's fine if you explain the mechanics a little bit or to say what it is. Do you remember, Ben, when we watched that Alien clip, CGI trailer, and we went, wow, this looks okay, and then it went on to a fucking isometric view tactical game, and we're like, what the fuck?
I mean, I'm really looking forward to that game.
I can't wait for it. But,
but it was not what it looked like,
It was literally just a fucking, I don't know, robot running through past a fucking Bungie sign. That was convenient. And then, it's...
This game, though, I mean, it's a reboot of an old franchise, which I think was Bungie's original kind of game franchise before Halo.
Shit. That is a good point.
Yeah, so it's like so it's going back to their roots. Now, Bungie, obviously, they make one of the greatest first-person shooters out there, and they're known for it, and that's great. And anything that they do in terms of a shooter, I am all in. That's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with this type of game. That's fantastic. But when you're just showing what you've showed, I mean, Eddie, this section here, we've just said there's Marathon. We'll talk about Concord, whatever. But from this point on, this is like why should you buy a PlayStation?
Just to clarify, Marathon is coming to Xbox as well.
Yeah, because it's Bungie, and so Bungie, despite being a place... Now, this is the thing about Bungie, obviously. They've maintained they are owned by Sony, but I thought it was only Destiny that was going to be staying as a multi-plat. But so Marathon's coming to Xbox as well. Like, I'm looking towards you, Eddie, because I'm saying, like, well, you're a person that would buy a PlayStation. If there was a genuine reason, you'd probably look into it. But this is their opportunity, and I just don't get what they're doing. Like, this next one, Concord. Let's move on to Concord then. What the fuck was that?
I think we can summarise a lot of the show with that.
What the fuck was that?
This could be anything. This could be a fucking coming-of-age RPG. I mean,
I read it was a first-person shooter.
Idea. Is it a first-person shooter?
I don't know. I went on a website and it had a list of everything in the showcase.
I
didn't. I refused to go on the blog.
There was a gun in between the frying pan and lockers. There was a clip of a gun, which makes me think...
It could be PlayStation's answer to Starfield, for all we fucking know. But I think on this website it said it's a first-person shooter or something.
Right.
Like, how'd you get that?
I appreciate the detail you're going into at this stage, Ben, but I am going to say I want to take your soapbox away, because you've argued the point very heavily about this a lot now. And also, I don't want this to go on longer than the actual showcase itself.
Oh, yeah.
Just before the showcase.
It's not possible.
Yeah. So we also saw them touch upon new Sony hardware. There was mention of Project Q, again, which is the handheld streaming device, which I think also links up to what we were talking about in the news, about that being something they want to focus on going forward. The mobility
Kirk, what do you think about this?
Fucking dog shit, mate. They've cut a DualSense controller in half and then stuck a tablet screen in the middle and then sewn it back together.
Yeah.
And you can only play... It's only a streaming device, and by that it means your PlayStation has to be on with the games loaded on it so that you can stream it to the device, which is completely pointless because that means you can use it on the local network.
It's a backbone, which will probably cost you one quarter of the price.
That's exactly it. I don't know what the selling point is, other than it's a proper PlayStation 5 DualSense controller that's on the side. That's it.
Yeah. I absolutely love it.
Oh, Jesus.
Actually, that makes sense. That is very Ben.
And okay. I can tell you why. I can give you actual reasons why I love it.
Go on then.
Anyone who has played a handheld like the Steam Deck or something like that, you cannot play certain games on that. You can't play a first-person shooter competitively. You can't play a first-person shooter properly on there. You can get by and all that kind of stuff. Even a lot of games, you just can't. Like the controller is never that great. I have tried so many grips on my Switch controller. If you use a grip on the Joy-Cons, the Joy-Con like the sticks aren't big enough. If you use other ones, like it doesn't feel so good. All that kind of stuff. What they have done here, and I know people are saying the design looks like they've just chopped a DualSense in half and stuck it on the side. Yes, thank you. Finally, somebody has just gone, oh, you know what's really great? A proper gaming controller. You know what's really great? A normal fucking screen. Do you want to just stick them together? Yes, thank you. Just put that together.
I get that. But it's restricted to your home.
Yes, because... But there's also people like me who play virtually everything they can on remote play. Like I am a remote play person, and I use the Steam Deck for remote play a lot of the time. And the PlayStation controller. Now I'm not a huge fan of the DualSense, like you aren't either. Like,
I am not.
But it is a top-notch controller. Like there are other controllers I prefer, but it is a top-notch controller. And and if it's I love remote play. I absolutely love it.
That's fair enough.
I'm all about it. So yes, I appreciate that for a lot of people this doesn't work, and I've seen a lot of people on Twitter or whatever calling it, oh, it's got no use, it's whatever. Okay, it's got no use for you. It's fine. But Sony have the numbers. Sony know who plays via remote play. They're not stupid. They literally have this data. So
I mean, you say they're not stupid, but this showcase wasn't exactly a slam dunk, was it? So
new hardware like that, though, they're trying to get people into an ecosystem to stay there, and the problem with the backbone is that it's your phone.
Yeah.
And you want to use your phone. I use my phone all the time. Pause study, it's just harder. And yes, it's a cheaper alternative, but this is an 8-inch screen and with a controller attached. And yes, it's not for everyone, but it's fucking for me. It is for me.
Okay. So yeah, a positive in amongst it all for you, Ben. Good.
Yeah, well, for some people it could be a negative, but yeah, I'm in there.
Good. Okay. We also saw some earbuds. Who cares? And then
how much are they? Do we think?
The earbuds
more than they're worth.
The only thing I will say on the earbuds, all right, they do have their purpose because Sony only offer the over-ear headphones at the moment. But one thing I did like about was the case, because it's styled in the same way as the PlayStation 5 is. So the aesthetic of it is quite nice because it's got like a curved like concave kind of slidey out mechanism, which just look quite neat. But that's it.
Yeah. What do you, Eddie makes an important point about price. What do you think the Project Q price will be?
Oh,
I think it's going to be extortionate.
Yeah,
200.
Massively.
200. No, I don't think more. I think 200, because that's 150 quid plus. You buy a controller for £50, so you're paying 150 quid for a screen.
I think it's going to be 300 quid, Kurt.
You reckon?
I think it is.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, if they do, that is horrendous. Imagine buying all the Sony PlayStation 5 hardware.
Oh, it's horrendous, but I have to. But it's horrendous.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, after all of this, we came to the big show, the finale. Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
It's
Spider-Man 2.
It's a sequel.
Go on, Pete.
There's nothing new here. Like, there was nothing really new there. Am I wrong?
No,
it's Spider-Man 1.5.
If that, maybe 1.1. And how long did they spend on it? I think time blurred for me at this stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, these chase sequences, they have them in like all the Spider-Man games now. It seems like the start of Miles Morales has one as well. And it's one. That's an entire sequence you've now like spoiled.
Yes. Yeah.
And two, yes, it looks very impressive, but there's literally no like.
The thing is, does it though? Yeah. Does it look impressive? I thought 2018 Spider-Man looked fantastic, and I've played a bit of Miles Morales, and yes, it looks nice, but it doesn't look outstanding. It still looks like Spider-Man, and I think Spider-Man 2 still looks like Spider-Man.
Yeah, but how much better can you make those games look? I mean, Miles Morales does look really nice.
I mean, I don't know, but
for me, more than what you're sort of talking about with the graphics, because it is difficult to optimize it that much more. It does look great, but the 2018 one looked great. Miles Morales also looks great. The issue for me is the mechanics look the same to everything I've seen.
Yeah.
There's barely a difference there at all.
I think that's a really fair point, because they add in like a few things. Like, oh, you can throw this in, and then you can make a line for yourself so you can walk over there. Okay, all right, fine, whatever. And now you've got Miles and Peter Parker, and at some points you can change between them.
Yeah.
And you, in your missions, and presumably in the open world,
Miles can be invisible as well.
He could do that in the last game. He could do that in Miles Morales.
Oh, I didn't know, so I haven't got that far. So
yeah, but I think, Pete, you make the big point about mechanics there, because I really enjoyed the first Spider-Man. Then when I played Miles Morales, I was like, oh fuck, is this what I was into? Is this what the first game was?
Yeah.
And for me, I texted you immediately after the show, didn't I? And I said, Spider-Man 2 might be a skip now.
Yeah, you did.
Because it's like, I think I'm beyond cinematic button bashing damage sponge enemies.
Yeah.
I think I might be. You said to me, you'll get pulled in, you bite day one, and that is probably the case. But it's like, I just find it boring.
I'm done on that side of things as well at the moment, except for I did like Ragnarok, and I've still got to play Horizon, so kind of don't know. But there's something about Spider-Man that I am just not clicking with right now.
Oh, I love Spider-Man though.
But I think it's having a bit of an issue, the same one Marvel has generally. There's just so much content everywhere at all times.
That could be it.
And if it's not, like, look at how well Andor has done of the TV shows. Like, that's the one that got the rave reviews recently of the Star Wars TV shows, and that's another one, by the way, with played out stuff. Like, it's just saturation of everything there. And that one is very different from the rest, just as Rogue One was very different from the other films. And then you look at what they're actually showing us with things like Spider-Man 2, and it is just the same. It's like, yeah, you liked it 150 times before. Here's 151.
Cool. Yeah, I get that feeling with it, and I know when we looked at Spider-Man before, and Eddie, you've looked at Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man, quite a bit as well, and been like, oh, this does look really cool. Yeah. I don't think you'd get on with it. Like, I really don't, in hindsight, having moved on from that. And we're in the minority though, Kirk. You and I, and our feelings on this, having played the games, are in the minority, I think.
Yeah,
because everyone's so buzzing for this stuff.
I put out a tweet on my Frame Again account, and everyone was raving about, like, that. Oh my god, Spider-Man 2 looks amazing. It looks fantastic. And I held my hands up and said, I'm not that interested in it. It doesn't look great. It still looks like 2018 to me. But the vast majority of people really do. They are into it. So
yeah.
I think graphically it looks nice. It's just that I think fundamentally, I don't know. I think I've just maybe moved on from that style of game.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, does anyone have any more on Spider-Man 2? Any burning comment?
No.
Okay.
No.
We've already done our overall crushing disappointment with this. Let's talk about a little bit of the follow-up, shall we? Like, for instance, Ben, you finding out actually all the useful information on the blog. We've already touched on the fact there's very few first parties.
Yep.
There's none of the major sort of anything we're expecting.
Yep. That was all missing.
Yep. And Ben, you followed up soon after this to point out to me, Xbox tweeted straight after, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah. Kirk explained that one. It's just too fun.
It's just the official Xbox account basically put up a little graphic that had the various games that are multi-platform for both the PlayStation and Xbox. So just saying, these games are coming to Xbox as well. That's literally what they put.
It's basically all the good-looking games, and this is not a Sony hate thing, because I was so excited for this. Like, I was really up for this.
Everybody was, mate.
Yeah, and I was so bitterly disappointed. I mean, I was messaging Donnie at the time, and at the time straight after, he was like, 7 out of 10. I think that's come down since, but I just couldn't understand. And I know I get very grumpy about this stuff. I get very down on these direct
Living up to your
stuff.
namesake.
But at least when I went onto the internet straight after, people were saying it as well, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not the only one that I thought this was absolutely fucking shite. I thought this was boring. I thought it was a waste of my time. I was so annoyed. I was texting you, Pete, and I was just furious.
Yeah.
I spoke to my girlfriend afterwards.
I think that's more your
Same
fault. I think after the 6th one of these, I said to all of you, we need to stop getting excited about these because they're all shit. Apart from Nintendo's ones that are well done, they're all shit. Even Xbox, they're shit. So, yeah, it's good. I went in going, this is going to be shit. And it was shit. So I was like, oh, that's good. And here's another positive to come out of it. I'm now not spending 800 quid on a fucking PlayStation now. So, lovely.
I mean, where's that price come from? I'm not sure that's the price, but okay.
Well, that, and then I have to get a VR. Maybe even that fucking handheld piece of shit. Yeah, gonna have to. If I'm gonna fucking steal money from a bank to pay for it, I might as well. Eh?
I was in such an upbeat mood before it. Where I was like, okay, playing Zelda, this is fantastic. Got Diablo 4 coming out next week. This is an awesome time to be a gamer. Like, if you like Final Fantasy, that's just around the corner. We've got a PlayStation event. This is gonna light things up show the light for the next 18 months. No. What this has done, I mean, in terms of competition, and Lord knows we need it in the console gaming space. This has opened the door. Xbox cannot have a worse show than this.
Yeah.
They actually cannot.
Challenge accepted.
They can't. Because at least they got the notes. They got the notes. They know that they need to show their own studios. They need to show what makes Xbox stand out, because Xbox know they're behind, so they need to stand out. PlayStation just seem to rest on their laurels and just go like, they don't. At least they tell people about them. Then.
And when they do, they apologise for it the next day.
That is true. Xbox will say we've got all these games, and then they won't come out anymore.
The funny thing is, they could very well come out with 2 or 3 first-party titles that are going to come out before the end of the year.
Oh, Kirk, how many times have we said that's going to happen?
I know, but Forza Motorsport and Starfield are 2 all but guaranteed ones. Starfield especially. So they could bring out a third. Who knows? But we'll have to see.
We will.
Yeah, we will.
Fuck this.
I think that figure's more like 1, maybe 2. I think you got to stop being hopeful in the game industry. You got to come down to my level. It's nice.
I hate to admit it,
down here.
I hate to admit it, but Eddie's onto something.
I actually think he is.
His fucking state of this presentation, it was just Jesus Christ.
Yes. Well, what a lovely disappointing way to finish.
What a grumpy gamers episode that was.
Yeah, incredibly grumpy actually throughout. Except for Planet of Lana, most of this was grumpy as. So we live up to our name. Yeah. If anyone had any positive comments or wanted to shout us down, Ben, about
then you're listening to the wrong
showcase,
podcast, and maybe write into another podcast.
If anybody wants to shout us down, tell us why we're wrong, then that would be appreciated, because I'd like to change my tone. And so would we all, I think. You can email us, podcast@grumpygamers.co.uk, or you can tweet us at grumpygamerspod on Twitter.
Fantastic. But for this lovely bank holiday weekend, it's GG.
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 GG.